Oh no! Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use a night fishing sonar. And for you guys thinking, oh, I already know how to use a night fishing sonar, well, I'm going to show you guys some more tips and techniques and how you can maximize your potential use for this tool, because that's what it is. It's a tool to help you catch more fish, locate more fish, and overall have a better time on the ice. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys how to use a sonar. If you guys already know how to use a sonar, just go ahead and skip through the video a little bit, and I'll start talking about more tips and techniques that you guys will want to hear. So the first thing you guys will notice is the different numbering systems on the actual sonar itself. So you have 0 through 20 in white and 0 through 30 in yellow. Now what those mean is if you turn the knob, the power to 1 white, you're going to be reading those white numbers, and those are the numbers you're going to be using. So if you switch it to 2 white, it's going to be those white numbers again, but you multiply them by 2. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on for 4. So this is 1 times, 2 times, and 4 times. So 20, 40, 60, 80. And the same thing goes to yellow. So if you switch to 1 yellow, you're going to be reading the yellow numbers. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Switches to 2, all these yellow numbers times 2. Switch to 4, all the yellow numbers times 4. So because my frame rate with my camera doesn't match up with the rate at which this is spinning, it's going to give you guys a little bit of flash on the screen. Just know that I'm not actually seeing that in person. It's actually just a solid lights for me. Alright, so let's talk about what you're looking at here. Okay, so when you're looking at the screen here, you're going to look at the first solid red mark like this, and that's your bottom right there. So the more solid red it is, the harder it is. So if it goes from a little bit more of a green mark to an orange mark to a red mark, then that means it's a little bit softer bottom, or there's weeds in the bottom. So now that you know that this red mark right here is the bottom, you can easily compare it to the numbers and see how deep it is. So we're at about 8.5 feet right where I am at this specific spot. Keep in mind my transducer is a good foot or 2 below the ice right now, so adjusting for that, we're probably actually in about 10 feet of water. Alright, so now let's go over how to read your actual lure. So, as you can see, I've got this little rattle bait on here. I drop it down there, and you guys will see it pop up on the screen. There it is, right in the middle right there. So as I move it up and down, you'll see it go up and down. So now that you know what the bottom of the lake looks like, and what your lure looks like, any other mark you see is going to be a fish. Unless there's like a green or an orangish mark right next to the bottom, that might be seaweed, but if it disappears and reappears, or just simply goes away for good, it was most likely a fish. Or if a mark appears that wasn't there previously, then it was probably a fish. And this is something you'll learn through experience. So the bigger bait you have, the bigger the mark is going to be, and the more red it's going to be. So if I have a little tiny jig on there, I might not even see it unless I turn the gain up, which that's something we haven't talked about yet. So the gain is how sensitive the sonar actually is. So if I'm not seeing my lure, I want to turn this up until I can see it clearly and it doesn't disappear when I move it. Also, if you're fishing really deep water, you're most likely going to have to turn up the gain just to be able to see your lure. As you guys just saw, my bait disappeared for a second when I ripped it up, and the reason for that is when I rip this bait, it's actually moving in a horizontal direction, and it's not staying right beneath the hole. So it's not that my sensitivity isn't strong enough, it's just that the lure is going out from underneath the cone that the transducer is shooting out. I believe the average transducer cone angle is anywhere from 15 to 30 degrees, so just keep that in mind when you're fishing, that you're not just seeing straight below the hole. You're going to be seeing, well, the deeper you are, the wider your coverage is going to be. This is a virtual representation of what it would be like underwater. So if I'm only in 3 feet of water, all I'm going to see is a couple feet radius beneath my hole. I'm not going to see 5 feet in either direction like I would if I was in 10 feet of water. In 20 feet of water, I might see 10 feet in either direction. So the deeper you are, the more coverage you're getting, and even though you might be marking fish, they might not be right beneath your hole. So the reason why this is really important is if you're fishing really shallow water, there might still be fish there, but you might not just be marking them. So because the cone angle is so small, you're not covering a lot of water, and the fish just might not be going right beneath your hole. So there might still be fish in the area, but you just don't see them. That's why a sonar can be a lot more effective in deeper water, because you're having a lot more coverage area. I guess the last thing I'm going to note is your interference button. So on this sonar, if you click down on the gain button, it actually gets rid of any interference you have in your water column that you're probably going to be getting if you're fishing near somebody with the same type of sonar. Alright guys, so let's talk a little bit about strategy now. So the first thing that I do when I'm trying to find fish on a lake that I don't know where the fish are is drill holes everywhere. So I drill a hole, I check the depth, I see if there's any fish there, I see what the bottom's like, and then I move on. Don't spend too much time on a hole, just drill a hole, put your sonar down there, and see if there's fish. If there's not fish, fish it for 30 seconds or something and move on. I can't stress that enough, is you really have to be moving around a lot to find the fish and consistently get bites. So the really nice thing about having a sonar is if you put the flasher down and you turn that thing on, there's no fish there, you know there's no fish there, so why would you fish there for any longer? Just move on, find a hole where there's fish, and fish for those fish. Alright, so we found some fish. We drilled a ton of holes all over the lake trying to find those fish. We finally located them. We're on the fish. We just need to figure out how to get them to bite. So how you're going to use your sonar to your advantage to get them to actually bite? For me personally, I drop down and immediately I'm just looking at how the fish are reacting. So are they chasing the bait? Are they just completely ignoring it? Are they moving slowly towards it? These are all things that can help you decide on how active the fish they are, what type of fish they are, and if they're going to bite. So the first thing that I do when I find fish is I try to figure out what kind of fish they are. So this is something that you're going to learn through experience, but I'll try to share a few tips and tricks that I've learned over the past few years of ice fishing that have really helped me dial in figuring out what species I'm looking at, even though I'm just looking at a light on the screen. So the first fish species that are easiest to figure out what they are bluegill. Bluegill are going to be your fish that are moving really slow up and down the water column 9 times out of 10. Sure, sometimes they'll move around really fast and they'll go crazy for your bait. If you're throwing a lure that's just like a jig with a soft plastic on it, something that bluegill aren't going to go crazy for, you're going to drop it down there and you're just going to see a light slowly go up to your bait just to check it out. Might not even be eating it, might eat it, but those are going to be your bluegill or panfish. So we got bluegill and sunfish. Now what about perch? The perch are a little bit more aggressive fish and they seem to not stay in the same spot for very long. So if you mark one on the screen, it's going to be quick before they're gone. If you see a mark that's there really quick, it's really aggressive, kind of swimming up and down a lot, and then just leaves, there's a high probability that that was a perch or a bass or another predatory fish. So now that we mentioned bass, let's talk about bass. So bass, they're a little bit slower moving, they tend to be more methodical about choosing what they eat, and you'll notice there'll be a much bigger mark. So you're gonna mark them bigger. They might be there for a little bit longer than a perch will, but they're still not gonna be there for very long. They tend to not stay beneath your hole for very long before they decide to eat or leave. Next, let's look pike. So pike are one of those fish that you don't mark for very long before they decide they're gonna eat. I find with pike that if I see them on my sonar, they're hitting within seconds of actually seeing them, if I even see them. So you're normally not gonna be able to even tell when a pike's on the screen because by the time you realize that there's a fish there, it's gonna be either on your line, you're gonna be reeling it in, or it's gonna be gone. Next, let's talk about crappie. So crappie are gonna be bigger marks. They've got more of a taller body, therefore they show up a lot clearer on your sonar. And they're gonna be bigger marks, but they're still gonna be acting more like bluegill. So they're like bluegill, they're kind of a mix between bluegill and perch, except they're a bigger mark. And they really do have their own personality. You can really tell the difference between them and any other type of fish. So crappie are just like bluegill, except they're normally a bigger mark, and they're gonna be a lot more aggressive. So if they don't eat your bait right away, I find that they're probably not going to eat it. So I'm going to switch baits right away and throw it down there, and I know that if they don't hit it right away, I'm probably not throwing the right bait. So if I throw something else down there, I'm expecting them to either hit it or hit it really soon or just not be interested in it. And if I notice crappie down there, I'm just gonna keep on changing baits until I find the right one that they like, and then I'll drop it down there and they'll just be all over it. Oh no!